Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm guest host Nicolette Ayala. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. Today's show is brought to you by Hudson Regional Hospital. You can find out more information on the link on the bottom of the page. Also brought to you by the Dream Project, which you can also find out more information at the bottom of the link on the page. And joining us is our Places Insider, Karista Sukio. What is up, my girl, from at #FoodPick.
That's me. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on, so I'm happy to be back.
I know, me too. I think last time I saw you was during the Wing Off with Daria.
Yes, and it was much warmer than it is now.
Yes, I know. It's breezy, sunny, beautiful.
I'm so happy to be chatting with you. I think it's about time we got rid of Peter.
He will kill us both. But I'm actually glad we're here chatting it up. Today we're going to talk about Serineta.
Yes, we are.
So I've actually personally never been there, but I know you're a vet there. So let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
so I'm actually, I love Sorolina right across the street. So Serineta actually is in the old Maxwell spot, which is an iconic place in Hoboken. Lots of famous musicians perform there. So it was, kind of a bummer when it shut down, but now we have something new and exciting. And I was lucky enough to try some brunch recently. So very excited to talk about that.
Yes.
Basically, Serineta is very beautiful inside. So you walk in and it is bright and airy and there's tons of natural light. I'm almost like elegant feeling. Like I feel very,
I like that. I
very
love that.
fancy
Right.
when I walk in.
Fancy Sunday brunch.
Yes, and they have a whole raw bar in the front,
Okay.
and the back area where the musical guests used to perform. They're actually doing something fun back there that hasn't opened yet, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Ooh.
But I did have a little bit of an insider scoop there. So
We're going to have to wait and see. Okay, so let's talk about your favorite dish there.
oh gosh, my favorite dish. Whew, it's tough to say, but I'm gonna have to go with the caviar carbonara.
Ooh.
I don't think I can ever have carbonara again without caviar.
Interesting. Are you guys hearing this? Caviar
It's
carbonara.
incredible. Just the egg yolks, and there's they got some meat in there, some prosciutto. So it's delicious.
Okay.
It's so heavy, but like you just dive right in and like you have to eat the whole entire dish.
Did you have this for brunch or for dinner?
Oh, brunch.
What?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. Pasta for brunch, people. And caviar. Caviar for brunch. Like, who's eating caviar in the morning?
We're fancy.
So that's definitely my favorite dish.
Okay.
But there's so much good stuff on this menu.
Now, did it come with like sides or like were you able to substitute certain things?
So I didn't do any substitutions. I like to try things like as they are on the menu. One of the big things I would say is their smoked fish platter. So that was like, 3 different types of toast.
Okay.
Several different types of fish with like your pickled tomatoes and your onion and different dips. And it comes with soft scrambled eggs and truffle. Like it was that whole thing could have been my meal, but of course it wasn't.
I wish they were like open right now so we can just go.
Yeah. I know, you need to book brunch now.
Right? Seriously. Okay, so now do you think it's more like kind of good for date nights too or,
Yeah, so I haven't tried their dinner yet, but I know, Serineta and Sorolina both have incredible cocktails and awesome wine. Obviously, Sorolina is a wine bar, and Gabby Lombardi, the owner at Sorolina, she owns Serineta, and her whole like wine expertise is obviously coming over that way too. So I would say I had brunch, with a friend of mine.
Okay.
Perfect for like a girls' night, or a girls' brunch,
Okay.
and date spot too. It's pretty versatile.
Right. Good stuff. So now next time you go, what would you try?
There's a lobster pasta on the dinner menu that I hear is going to be like a staple there. So
Lobster is my weakness. I don't know about you. Lobster is my weakness.
No, it totally is. It's amazing. So I really can't wait to try that and just to continue to try their cocktails. And I need to go back and have their sticky toffee monkey bread, which is also on the brunch menu.
Talk to me about that. What is that? What is that?
Bread.
Okay.
It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's, I guess, dough balls all put together in this block with just drenched in toffee.
Oh my God.
And I'm not a sweets girl. I'm usually a savory person, but we got this for brunch as like a little brunch dessert.
Okay.
And it just took me back to childhood, Like my mom
That
made
sounds
monkey bread all the time.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Oh my God. Okay. So good. So next time we're probably going to do this. We're going to go have the lobster. We're going to have the monkey bread.
Yeah, we're going on a date.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Yes.
We're doing it. What else? So first time you went there, what?
My initial reaction.
Right, yeah, initial
so
reaction.
I actually went on their soft opening and I took pictures for them. I tried some of their oysters, like everything's super fresh, all of their seafood. So that's something that you should definitely, like I mentioned before, they have their raw bar in the front so you can kind of see everything being prepared. Everything's like laid out fresh on ice. So, I mean, my initial, I was just stunned and I knew I had to come back immediately. So brunch, I mean, I'm a huge brunch girl. So going back there for that was incredible. And now I just can't wait to kind of show it off to everyone I know.
And you're just like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just go.
Yes. And like, what do you think out of everything I've said? What are you most intrigued by?
Definitely the lobster.
Yeah.
Definitely the lobster. Definitely the monkey bread. I'm probably going to have to come back at some point and just try it. Mm-hmm. Down for drinks too. Oysters, I know I've never been one for oysters, but maybe they might change my perspective on it, honestly.
You should give it a go. It'll be, I mean, they're super fresh, so.
It's good. And I feel like that's always important too. Now, as far as food wise also, like I know we're talking about how delicious is it.
Yeah.
Is it piping hot? Because that's one of my things is I love when the food comes out, like piping hot.
So
like
I'm a terrible person to ask because I'm always photographing my food before I eat it. But I mean, the quality of food over there, I can only imagine everything's coming out piping hot.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know me, my friends are like always like, can I eat yet? So I'm a horrible person to answer that question.
Okay.
But I mean, their food is top notch. So I would say yes.
So good stuff. Good stuff. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. I'm trying to think what else. Okay, so if you had to compare, I know we're doing Serineta, but if you had to compare as far as like Sorolina with Serineta,
so
any
Sorolina,
big changes? Any differences?
I mean, Sorolina's a wine bar.
Okay.
It's a lot. I mean, they have their natural light and everything, but it's very like romantic. It's a romantic feel in Sorolina, and Serineta is more. I mean, I said this before. I guess elegant and bright.
Right.
It's a totally different vibe, but you know, it's very easy to tell. You know, Gabby's got her character in both spots. So
yeah. So that's super interesting, and like I can't wait to try it.
Yes, you definitely need to go in. You need to let me know which one's your favorite.
Oh my God, maybe we should go there and have like a.
We can have a day. We can go for brunch and then we can go for dinner.
Okay. Yeah.
And stay for many cocktails.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right, Krista. Well, I'm glad we actually did this. I can't wait to talk about more restaurants with you in the future.
Yes, I will
be here.
So
I'm excited for that, and let's go on our journey of foods.
Yes, I'm so excited to see what's to come for Serineta.
Awesome. All right, we'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of The Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at The Pulse with Peter B. and make sure you like and follow us on there. We're constantly updating that page with new information. And also on Instagram, for all you grammars out there, make sure you follow us there as well. We're constantly putting these really cool stories, previewing all of our episodes. And if you don't want to DM us through our Instagram or message us through our Facebook, you can always email us. And that's at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, everybody. Frank Rosner here, hosting for Peter B. on The Pulse. And I'm wearing my pulse mask. This way you know I have a pulse. Whoops. Yep, gets entwined with my glasses, folks. Hold on. There we go. Much better. Now you can hear me. I'm here, as usual, with Josh Sotomayor Einstein.
It's good to be here with you.
It's good to be here with you, Josh. So what's on the agenda? What's on tap for tonight, so to speak?
Well, really anything we want to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't I ask you this? What are your thoughts about the Northwest redevelopment plan?
So I went to a community meeting over a year ago about this, and everyone was very adamant that there shouldn't be too many residences and that the city should seize the land from the current owners and redevelop it. People also wanted to put in a light rail stop over there, which isn't a bad idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Because whether or not the city seizes the land, and as you know, Hoboken loves eminent domain and
Seizes
then
the
lawsuits.
land.
I mean, that's what eminent domain is. Hey,
Absolutely.
you have something, and I'm the government, and I can say it's mine.
Well, on occasion, it's
You know,
necessary.
we call that stealing if I were just to do it to you. But when the government doesn't, it's called eminent domain. I think you have a right to your stuff no matter what. Nonetheless, it was a very interesting meeting. There was a lot of concerned citizens. I think it might have actually been maybe even 2 years ago. And people wanted to have more commercial in the area, and they were concerned with that little corner of town being packed with cars and the access to the rest of town, which is maybe a little bit more concentrated, that problem in that area, but it's not like it's unique. Hoboken, only has a couple roads in and out of town, so I'm not surprised that an area of Hoboken has that problem as well.
Well, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you with any of the items you mentioned.
Well, we need to try harder to disagree.
Well, no, but I will tell you, the thing for me is if you come across the viaduct coming out of Weehawken and you look to your left, you have this whole scape or landscape, whatever you want to call it, a streetscape. It's like a little mini city. Hoboken's a square mile. This uptown area is so distinct from the rest of Hoboken, it's almost like Jersey City. Not quite like Newport, thank God. So my concern basically with the Northwest redevelopment is the height restrictions, the infrastructure, even before the height restrictions, because I know most of us are not going to allow it to go higher than 7, maybe 8. I think they were thinking 12 was the last count. Should be less than 12.
Well, if you don't want a building,
streetscaping and landscaping, infrastructure, parks, all that stuff that comes along with it.
I think viewers want to know if you streetscape yourself.
Well, I don't streetscape. Perhaps that might have been a wrong application of what I was thinking, but you know what I mean. And the infrastructure is absolutely crucial, especially if you're going to have residences and commercial. It doesn't matter which. You're going to have to pipe the. We got the sewerage authority to worry about, the water main breaks, all that stuff have to be laid out and has to be done correctly so that we can sustain all that area with that influx of population, the whole shebang that's going to happen there. It needs to be done.
I don't disagree with you that Hoboken, every corner of Hoboken is faced by perennially ignored infrastructure issues. And I think no administration, this one, the one before it, the one before that, wants to make the investments in infrastructure to make our town sustainable in the long term, because it's not sexy, it's not shiny, it's underground, it can't be seen. So there's no real political impetus for or nudge pushing administrations in the right direction. They all like to apply a Band-Aid philosophy, but philosophically, and I know this will definitely piss off viewers out there, because almost all of Hoboken likes the height restrictions. But philosophically, if you don't want a building in a particular place to be a certain height, why don't you buy it yourself? What right do you have to tell someone else how high they can build their building? Just because there's a lot of you that don't own the land? If I buy a plot of land, why can you tell me, oh, it can only be 3 stories. Oh, it can only be 4 stories. Oh, it can only be 5 stories. Buy the land yourself.
If I had the money to buy it, I certainly would.
And then you'd be
And
annoyed
I would
if I told you what you could do with it.
I would not be annoyed because I've grown up in Hudson County. I grew up in North Bergen. I grew up in Union City. I've been in Hoboken for 41 years now. I don't want to destroy the flavor that brought me to Hoboken. I'm not sure what the millennials are thinking about, or even the younger generation, but they can see Hoboken downtown. They can see Hoboken uptown. I'm not sure which one they really prefer, but I prefer the old flavor of Hoboken, the friendliness, the people, the touchy-feely, the visceral. That's what means everything to me.
And
that's why I'm
agree with
talking
you.
about height restrictions.
Listen.
I don't want a 40. Look, we didn't have a 40-story skyscraper on Pier A because Fund for a Better Waterfront. That's why we have a park there now.
I agree with you in terms of your likes and dislikes
Okay.
about town. I actually
I'm
share
glad.
them. However, I have also been here a certain amount of years. I've also lived in a certain amount of places. The fact that we've both lived in places for
Within Hoboken?
for a certain amount of years does not an argument make, nor does my personal preferences allow me to infringe upon the rights of somebody else, and that's what you're arguing for. But when we're talking about streets and we're talking about infrastructure, I think it's also important that we talk about the Rebuild by Design plan.
Well, now you just brought it to the forefront. Rebuild by design. Absolutely correct. I can't argue with you there, actually. But, you know, those limits were put in place for a reason. And they should be adhered to and should be voted upon. And I'm sure the council will do the right thing.
So about Rebuild by Design, I believe that they are starting construction in March, mid to late March.
Really?
In terms of certain digging that they have to do for certain water barriers. Could be wrong. Always double check everything I say. I do too. And also that my sources inside local government have informed me that there's actually going to be construction at night in Hoboken.
Wow.
And all of our streets are residential. So
Wow.
what I've heard is that parts of Hudson, parts of River, and parts of Observer Highway will be authorized for construction at nighttime, which means basically jackhammers
Really?
to the street to put in the necessary infrastructure
Wow.
for that phase of Rebuild by Design. And, you know, you're talking about the town we love, and I agree with you that in terms of the characteristics of this town that you love, I also love them. Many people do, God bless. But also, it's a quality of life issue for people.
Absolutely.
You know, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a renter, if someone's jackhammering on the street that you live on at 9 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night or 3 in the morning, that's going to cause a lot of problems.
Well, look, I think you and I both can agree on that the night construction is not going to fly. It's dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. That's not going to happen.
I think the minute people find out, even if it's, tell your friends, but the minute that people actually hear the jackhammer at nighttime, there's going to be a city hall meeting flooded with people, either online or in person, however it's done at that point. Maybe the servers will crash because so many people will log on.
That's possible. Real quickly, before we run out of time here, the cap on the delivery services for the money that they will charge, yay or nay?
Well, I think a business should be able to make their own choices, and elected bureaucrats should stay out of it. If I have a small business and I don't have a delivery service, maybe I want that option, maybe I don't, but that should be left up to me, and that choice shouldn't be taken away from me.
Well, there you go, folks. Josh Sotomayor Einstein, always sticking to his principles and his values. Let's see what happens. Capitalism at its finest. We're trying to restrain it a little bit.
Well, it's not capitalism so much; it's free
Oh,
markets.
it's capitalism.
No, it's capitalism was a term actually created by Karl Marx.
Let me tell you, it's
actually
it's
free
capitalism.
markets.
No, it's not
people
free
should
markets.
Be able to
it's
do
an
what they want.
oligarchy. So long, folks.
Those are different words.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Make sure you watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. And also, every Sunday, 9:30 a.m., we post our new episode and our segments, our individual segments, on our YouTube page. You're not going to want to miss it. Please subscribe to our channel there. We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the host chair after 2 guest hosts this show. Ron, it's kind of nice to have the show named after you and not even be on the show, correct?
The less work, the better.
Exactly. And we're joined by an old friend of mine, and that's Ron Simoncini. Ron, how are you
Hello,
tonight?
Peter. Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Always dapper. I mean, I'm wearing a raggedy sweater, but that's okay.
They pay me to put the jacket on.
There you go. There you go. I like that. I like that a lot. So, Ron, let's talk about, tonight we're going to be talking about Meadowlands Live. And I was wondering for the audience purposes, if you can let us know what Meadowlands Live is.
So the state of New Jersey hosts DMOs, which are destination marketing organizations. Meadowlands Live is one of those, serving the Meadowlands region, and which we define as the Statue of Liberty to the George Washington Bridge, and then west from the river to Route 17. So all of Hudson County essentially is in Meadowlands Live. The destination assets, including the sports complex, American Dream, major restaurants, major hotels, over 30 hotels in the region are members of Meadowlands Live.
Wow. So, I mean, it certainly encompasses a huge amount of business for this area, and something that has been obviously hurting businesses over the last 11 months. I can't believe it's been 11 months, is the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how specifically has COVID-19 affected, I guess we'll start with tourism in this area, since that's where the hospitality industry.
It's absolutely breathtaking how fast an entire industry can fall apart in one moment. And we went from an 85% to 87% occupied market at about $160 a room night to 22% at about $45. Yeah.
Incredible.
And the only rooms that were being rented at the beginning of COVID were those for emergency workers who were being hosted by their companies or by an institution. So that was absolutely miserable. It's a little bit better now. It comes back a little bit every month. The travel now I would categorize as essential travel or avid travel. People who are coming up, for example, in the fall, they came for birding events. A lot of people don't know this, but the Atlantic Flyway is most active here in the Meadowlands. And so as the birds come through in 2 seasons, birders from all over the country come to watch the species. And that's one of the things
that is so interesting.
and it's how we actually built the Convention and Visitors Bureau, because when we started, we had no money. And so we looked for terms that were good on Google, and nobody had bought the term birding. And so we bought the term birding because we were such strong birders, and we actually started to build our brand on that term. That's back in 2003.
Fascinating. So obviously, who would have thought the bird industry is such a bird watching industry, I should say. Is such
That week in the spring and the week in the fall, can't get a room.
I mean, and let's talk a little bit about American Dream. I mean, because obviously we know the nightmare that it's been to get it open, obviously, and now it's here, and it's absolutely stunning inside.
If you haven't been there,
I've been there twice and got lost twice. I mean, it is phenomenal. Just some of the attractions in there.
yeah. So I actually was there about 3 weeks ago with an Irish guy. And he said to me, if this were in Europe, you people would fly over to see it. And yet we have people who live within 5 miles of it who've never seen it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stigma of it. I think it's really easy to make something unpopular and then convince people that they have no reason to go. There's no such thing as an indoor water park that's more spectacular than this. And an indoor amusement park. You stand on one end of it and look to the other end, and it's absolutely astounding how huge it is. It's the largest indoor space you're ever going to see. And there's a great skating rink, and there's a great ski hill, and there's a great sugar store, and there's a great miniature golf course. And you look at it all, and you're like, this place is so cool. And another thing that people wouldn't realize is it's packed.
Packed. I was just going to say that the 2 times that I went, and by the way, it wasn't Christmas time, it was, or the holiday season. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of people who were actually there. And you know, there's a common misconception, I believe, that malls are dying, but this is more than a mall, right, Ron?
Well, it's got a lot of retail in it.
Of course.
And it should.
Right.
This area needs retail. This area has supported retail forever. Unfortunately, COVID is shifting shopping patterns, and it's going to be a little more difficult. You're going to have to be a little more engaging than a typical retail store to make it. But that will be a destination that people will go to. I think, you know, if you look at what's going to drive the region's tourism economy, you've got a lot of great drivers here. You've got the sports complex, but they only play 18 football games a year there.
That's right.
American Dream is open 365 days for entertainment. Except for the days that there are football games, which they have conflicts there. Right across the way from American Dream is North America's most active sports book. New Jersey is now the #1 sports book state in the country.
Over Nevada. That is
Over Nevada.
That's correct, yeah.
Those two things are 200 yards from each other. And you've got the only NFL stadium 200 yards from that has 2 football teams.
That has 2 football teams. I mean, people, it's like a common practice that people like to come to New York. I really think that Jersey in this area, the Hudson County, Bergen County area, because that's lower Bergen County. It's a stone's throw away from Secaucus in Hudson County. I mean, is going to be the place to come to.
Yeah, a lot of the hotels that serve American Dream are in Secaucus. Michael Ganelli, great mayor, committed to travel and tourism, understands it. Isn't a huge fan of American Dream in some respects, but recognizes that he's got to be somebody who becomes a fan of it because it's going to fill his hotels. And I think that there's a lot of that in the region. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the municipalities in the region have been unfriendly to American Dream in a number of ways. Their tax policy, there are transportation issues that aren't really transportation issues. I mean, you never see a log jam in front of that store. That site has 16 lanes of traffic in and out. It was built to empty a 60,000 person stadium in 40 minutes.
Right.
The population in American Dream is never going to challenge the parking or the roadways on that site. So, you know, you got a little bit of Jersey politics going on here.
Of course.
That are defining how somebody perceives a mall, which is any place else would be kind of crazy. Here it is what it is.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, you know, just a couple of miles down the road is Route 17, right? And you have all of those businesses there that are bustling restaurants. I mean, I know American Dream has restaurants as well and so on and so forth. But the area is just, it's so up and coming in my opinion. It was always there, and the American Dream kind of puts the icing on the cake.
So American Dream for us, I think for the region, American Dream is going to take care of itself. They have
Right.
a terrific management team, great visionaries. They're going to market well. They've got a terrific drive-in program. They've
Right.
got a fly-in program. They're going to do fine. Our job as a Convention and Visitors Bureau is to spread that wealth around.
Correct.
If we're going to end up with 10 million more visitors a year to the region, and by the way, our region gets 12 million visitors just for the stadium alone. So if we're going to end up with 10 million more on top of that or greater than that who are going to come and participate with American Dream, those people will have something to eat in American Dream, but there's plenty of other places locally, ethnic dining, local fare, the Colonial Diner, Il Villaggio, places that have their own orbit that I think will end up attracting attention. And of course, we've got 11,000 hotel rooms to fill. Now, those were 85% occupied before American Dream opened.
Oh, imagine.
So when American Dream is going full bore, we're going to have a hotel infrastructure here that's going to be challenged. We're going to need more room.
100%. And I travel down 120. I have some family in southern Bergen County, and all I see is hotels being built. I mean, and like you said, it's going to be needed. Now let's talk about the vaccination is here. I mean, we're hoping that more and more we get more distribution of it and so on and so forth. Let's talk about coming out of COVID. You know, what type of government programs are assisting these businesses that have been struggling the last 11 months?
So one of the things that's going to benefit some people around here are the live performance venues that are shuttered. This PPP round has a fantastic funding for those guys to get back on their feet. One in particular that I think about is Field Station Dinosaurs in Leonia. Those folks are going to be able to reopen simply because of that program. And there are other versions of that. Restaurants, for example, get about 50% more funding than a regular business in this PPP2 round. So there's going to be resources there that let people reopen. I think we're being smart, really, as a Convention and Visitors Bureau about how we're supporting that. What we're doing is we're concentrating on our drive-in traffic, and we're concentrating on meetings because there's a huge pent-up demand for people to see each other. And as soon as it's safe to do so, there's going to be a huge business meeting surge. The other thing is the drive-ins. People are still going to be a little reluctant on the plane, but you got to remember there's 60 million people between Boston and Washington. That's all within 4 hours of our site.
Right.
So we're going to end up with a lot of people who are like, hey, what's the next cool thing to do? Some of them aren't going to want to go to Manhattan. New York's got a little bit of a branding issue right now.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, you walk up and down those streets, it's for rent signs left and right, and also mismanagement at the government level. But that's a whole different topic for.
It's not. Cuomo doesn't know what he's doing. Let's face it.
Exactly.
Governor Murphy's the guy who knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
So, you know, the restrictions that they put on New York City restaurants are killers.
I
And
agree.
it kills the tourism market because as soon as people hear, you mean I can't get something to eat? I know that Governor Murphy only improved from 25% to 35%. But you know what? That's a lot of people. And when you broadcast that to the rest of the country and say, over a third of our restaurant is occupiable now.
So let's say, Ron, and I'm asking you to speak to the audience here. Let's say somebody's watching, like you said, in a Boston or Washington type of area, 4-hour car ride. You know, what do you want to tell them about the new Meadowlands, as I like to call it,
Right.
and the surrounding area?
So I think that the smart thing that we're doing here is we're bringing in people who are driving traffic from that amount of space, right? What they need to know is they can get something great to eat. And our food choices here are legendary.
Phenomenal.
Italian, Indian, name it. It's all here.
It's all here.
So, and there's no better steak. So this is a great place to eat. And a lot of what tourism is about, right, is that meal, that family meal, or that couple that's going out to dinner. They want that to happen. Absolutely. The hotel choices here, all the way from luxury, all the way down to limited stay. So if you want to stay in a suite and be here for a month, we've got that. If you want to stay in a really nice hotel like the Renaissance Meadowlands, that is, a 3-star hotel, it's available to you. Those are very inexpensive now, and we're marketing that. We're talking to people about, hey, you can come here way cheaper than you would normally be able to. You can drive in. We've got places to park. Try to park in New York City.
Exactly. Without paying $70 a night. Ron, if a person wants to find more information on Meadowlands Live, pretty sure there's a website.
Yeah, our website is mlcvb.com.
Mm-hmm.
You will find our live and kicking promotion there. And the live and kicking promotion identifies inexpensive hotels, people who have specials, talks about the attractions that are open, when they're open. And it's going to take a while.
Right.
Next week is not the week to come.
Right.
But by April, we're going to start to see that uptick. By September, all the people who couldn't go out for a year and a half, who can now go out,
are going to
want to go out.
Exactly, especially during football season. Absolutely. Well, Ron Simoncini, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's great seeing you again, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And we hope to see you on maybe in the future.
This is my gig now.
I love it. I know. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us this week. Folks, today's show was brought to you by Hudson Regional Hospital. You can find out more information at the link below on your screen. And the Dream Project. You can find out more information about our friends at the link below on your screen as well. I'm Peter Biancamano. Join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.